Yo, so here I am talking about work in my work clothes, and I want to share a perspective that is not very popular and not often seen and almost frowned upon, especially from the spiritual community. I work at a restaurant. I'm currently a busser, and I'm also deep into spirituality. I am a holistic healer. I have my own online business. I have a passion for creating content around spirituality and psychology and just helping people awaken to their potential. So early on in my journey, when I discovered my spiritual gifts, I awakened basically. I had a very negative outlook on work, on the work system, on capitalism, and that led me to eventually quitting my job and going for building my own business and just going all in on YouTube. Um, and I eventually got into debt, over $40,000 of debt, and that's something that I'm working to pay off now. But I left my job because I it was partly because I wanted to succeed in YouTube, and I saw my job as getting in the way of that, and that came from a mindset from deep within the spiritual community that a lot of spiritual people don't like the 9 to 5. There's a lot of negativity towards the 9 to 5, and if you are working a 9 to 5, you're kind of a part of the herd, the sheep mentality. And you know what? I think I still do agree with that a lot. But what I've realized is that it's about realizing what game you're playing and playing it consciously. And a lot of people want to just say fuck the game completely, right? And so then they screw themselves over. And I see it a lot where like a lot of spiritual people find it very hard to create a life in the physical world because they choose to push that away, push that to the side. And I have a message here now that I've been working a 9 to 5 now. I was jumping around, so I started doing YouTube. That didn't work out. Then I went into holistic healing and I gained some skills there, but that didn't really become a business. And then I got into dance. I started podcasting. That was sort of a success. And now I'm here. I'm back here. I went back to working. I was doing Uber Eats also, but now I'm here working a regular restaurant job, and I'm finding myself getting even deeper and deeper into it, putting more time into it so that I can make more money basically, but also just being more committed to a job. And you know what? I almost am just I'm quite surprised find myself in this situation, but this isn't also like contradictory to my spiritual practice, because if anything my spiritual practice has deepened across this time. I've found a lot of peace, um, and clarity in honing in on my spiritual system, still studying, still meditating, still journaling, and doing that with much more dedication. And getting to this point um, hasn't been easy because I have this thing in my mind that I should be working on something in specific. I should be working on my purpose. I should be grinding. But I realize now that, um, I don't really know I can't predict the future. And, and there's also something great to be done in the now, in their immediate environment. That's what I talked about in my previous video yesterday, where you have to, as a spiritual person, your main thing should be about service. And that's the thing that I think at the beginning of my journey, it was all about me. It was about my awakening. Although I did want to help people, I wanted to awaken people. At the end of the day, it was still this thing of like me facing the world and trying to and rebelling against the system. But now that I see it, I know, of course, I'm a lot smarter because I understand the system, and more importantly, I understand why it was made. And that's the first thing that you must do. You have to understand where the system came from and what the mentality was behind it. And then if you want to transcend the system, you have to transcend and include. And that's a super important way of thinking, because to transcend means to, of course, surpass the system, but to include means to still honor it, to still hold it within yourself, and to still have it serve its purpose. But now I realize, like, when it comes to my work environment, I actually enjoy it. I actually like working, and obviously, I don't think I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life. But I also realize that, um, because but I also realize that I have a long life. I'm going to have a long life, and I'm only 24 right now, and I have a child, and I need to pay my bills, of course. I need to have a stable place in this physical reality. I need to be building here, and while I'm building in this physical, I can also build my vision. I can still work on my dreams, and still, I realized that as I got deeper into my practice, spirituality is about service, right? At the end of the day, if you don't make it about service, you're gonna constantly find yourself in situations that you don't feel comfortable in. You're not gonna feel happy working under the system unless you understand what the system means for you, unless you understand what the system means for your journey. And for me, it's about maximizing my time. If I'm gonna be somewhere, and if I'm gonna be there for a while, especially if it's a responsibility, I might as well be there completely, and be there, um, and enjoying it. So if you're working a 9 to 5 and you hate it, well, I think you should first strive to not have hate in your heart, right? As a spiritual person, you should learn to practice to transform the environments that you're in. You have that power, you really do. And I understand it now, because I've been working here for like around 6 months now. And when I first got to this place that I was working, it wasn't a positive place. People would always be complaining. People would always be bitching and moaning about how much they hated their jobs. And but yet I had the intention. I had a different intention. I just wanted to make my money and go home. I didn't have to make friends. Didn't need to do that. In fact, I didn't want to be friends with anybody, especially if they were the kind of people that would just be bitching and moaning. So no, I didn't want to be really involved in that system. But I just, went in and got out. It was simple. I made my money and I was able to work on my dreams when I came home. But now, as time has evolved, and there's been a change, there's been a transition where I've grown. People have left, people have quit, or people have been fired. Um, and surprisingly enough, the people that have left and that have been fired are the ones that were the most negative, and the ones who have stayed have also changed. I believe it's been because of me, my positive outlook on life, my desire to see the good in things, my desire to see the good in the negative, and my desire to stay stable when everybody else is all unstable, negative, chaotic. That is the result of spiritual practice. Being able to be a stable, consistent being in a world full of chaos. And the potential it's immense, because I see the change in my environment. I see the influence I have around the people around me, and I find people that actually resonate with me. I made friends with people that, I can actually speak to and be like, you know what? I just hate the fact that people just bitch and moan all the time. Like, if you want to change, like, if you don't like something, leave. If you don't like your job, leave. Go find a better place. And I've made friends. I've made connections based on that, and together we have found this thing where, like, okay, we can do this together. We don't have to entertain the negative. And it's a beautiful thing, because now I've found that I actually love this feeling of being able to go to work and 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 have an influence in it. I know that, because I've seen it. And this is the thing to the spiritual too. Like, if you're spiritual and you hate the 9 to 5 thing, whatever, well, first off, I think it's your job to understand who you are, and understand the power you have over your environment, and make it a conscious effort to change it. And not change it so much as in trying to change people, trying to, like, talk to people all the time. No, it's about changing it first within yourself, understanding what it means in your journey. If it truly doesn't align with you, well, look for another place that aligns with you, of course. But put service above everything else, and also make sure that you're building something on this physical world. And the first step is like, you know, service is a 9 to 5. You're serving the world in some way. By default, you're an employee, so you're serving somebody. So that's the first thing, you know, like if you don't know what, get a job first, and then work yourself out, figure out who you are, and get deeper into your spiritual practice if that's something that you enjoy. But this is more to the people, and this is also to the younger version of me, which is like, I'm spiritual and I love my 9 to 5, and the reason I got to this place was because I realized that there is no rush, right? There is no rush. You can step into your power now. You can practice your spirituality without, like, in the now, today. You can practice that, and you can improve who you are. And yes, you can take risks, but make sure that they are calculated risks. Make sure that they are in alignment with all aspects of life, not just the spiritual, but also the physical, your finances, your family, etc. Make sure it's in alignment. And I think the main thing also is have those difficult conversations first with yourself. In what way are you not serving people? What perspective do you need to shift? But also with those around you. I've had to have crucial conversations with people, with my managers, with my coworkers, where I'm like, hey, I don't like this. Hey, is there a problem? You know what? I don't appreciate this and that. This is what I'm willing to do to make sure that we're all good. And I wouldn't be able to get to that place of conversation had I not gone through my spiritual journey and learned about how to express my emotions, how to control my emotions, how to understand my emotions, how to not, and that would change things, right? Because now it became a thing of, instead of me complaining, I would actually go talk to the person that I had an issue with. I wouldn't bring it up with anybody else. I wouldn't talk shit about somebody behind their back, and I wouldn't talk shit about a manager to my coworkers. I would go to the manager and talk about the issue that I have. And that's something that people don't have. And I can see that, especially with the people who complain. And the reason they complain is because they don't understand the power that they have. The reason you don't feel happy with your life is because you don't understand the power that you have. The reason you hate your job is because you don't understand the power that you have. It's going to come back to that. The reason you're not happy is because you don't understand the power that you have. So step into your power and build from there. It takes guts. It takes courage to be able to reach out to somebody, be vulnerable, and hope that they will listen and that they will respond accordingly. Especially if you're an employee and you live the life that I live, where I feel like employees don't get listened to, or managers take advantage of people. Yes, we do live in that world, but it is your job to make sure that you step into your power and you choose the world that you want to live in. And if somebody doesn't respond the way they're supposed to, you can always find another job. You know, you can always find another job, just with the experience that you have. But the more important thing is to develop the skills to be able to speak your truth and make sure that you can stay in your power, to not be derailed, to not be so easily swayed by negativity. That is really the goal here. So if anything, your 9 to 5 will serve you in that way. It will teach you resilience. It will teach you courage. It will teach you vulnerability. It will teach you communication skills. It will teach you financial literacy, financial intelligence. So there's much to learn from a 9 to 5. And there's a lot of power in understanding where that 9 to 5 fits into your journey. So that's what I really wanted to point out. So thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm about to head out to work. All right, stay lucid. Peace.